Hello and welcome to Into the Light. I'm your host, Edina Mauvana. Today we have Baba Shuaib. He's the correctional officer, born Shuaib Abdullahi in Accra. He's a Quranic researcher, critical thinker, and influential public figure, redefining what it means to be Muslim. Since 2018, he's gained a really massive online following through Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok, which is where I found him. And we connected first, and I'm so excited. This is where he gives these controversial lectures, challenging really mainstream Islamic beliefs, really advocating for a Quran-only approach while rejecting Hadith. So for those of us like myself, I have a Muslim background. It's really a pleasure to have you here, Baba Shuaib. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sister Edina, for the honor, for the presentation, and for actually giving me the prestige honor to be on your platform. I appreciate that. And thank you for also looking for the other side of the story on your end, because sometimes the story is not said in one side. It's good to also say it on another platform, just for people to just get the idea and gist of.
Yeah, we like to cross-pollinate our platforms and our messaging, because I know that's what I found most on TikTok was it was like I found my tribe. I found my people. I found the people who are creating the networks and the platforms, whether it's on Discord channels or TikTok or whatever, coming together. And I feel like what a breath of fresh air it's been for me the past few years. And I've been following you and the audience that you have as well. So I'm really excited for that.
Sure. For me, it's an honor. So I'm very happy to be on your platform as well.
Yeah.
So just to tell the other side of the story.
Yeah, and I wanted to tell you here because I bought your.
Refer to the. Yes, this is the one on Amazon. Actually, there is another edition, but this was 2019 edition.
Okay.
There's another edition.
2021 edition.
There is no much difference. It's just a slight update on the upgrade on the design.
Okay.
So I made it accessible for those on Amazon to be able to get this referred to the Quran copy. But actually, it's basically the same concept with the 2021 version. Yes. So I appreciate the support for also getting the copy. It's good.
But that's not your main thing, because I know you do more, like, obviously on YouTube. And I was looking at one of your recent posts with the guy who does the Law of 19, Naveed, and all of these different debates people are getting into. So can you tell people who are listening, who are maybe not as familiar, because taking a Quran-only approach versus incorporating all the hadiths and the sayings of the Prophet, what we call the Sunnah, like, how are you defining yourself in that discourse? Because I feel like it's even a bad word to say, oh, I'm Quranist or Quran only. It has a sort of negative connotation as well. And then we have other people who just say, oh, I'm a submitter. I don't even use the Muslim label. It's so wild to me. So tell me about how you really fit in with that.
Yeah, for me, it's not a complicated issue. It's just a matter of, can you explain yourself? Because the question is, the truth doesn't mind being questioned, but falsehood is always scared of being questioned. So I fit in pretty well. I just happen to be a Muslim. The Muslim is an Arabic word which actually means a submitter. But who am I submitting to? I'm submitting to the creator of the heavens and the earth. So I'm a Muslim who happens to follow the Quran alone. That is my definition. My definition is not a Quran alonist or a Quranist, or that's not my definition. My definition is a Muslim who happens to follow the Quran. And where is this inspiration coming from? It's actually coming from the Quran. The Prophet himself, Quran chapter 27, verse 91, he himself bluntly said, I have been instructed. He has been commanded to be of the Muslims. He was not commanded to be of the Sunnis or Shia or other sect. He was commanded to be of the Muslims. And verse 92 says, and to recite the Quran. So to recite the Quran means that is his duty, to be a Muslim and to recite the Quran. He didn't say to recite any hadith, to recite any other book. He said, and to recite the Quran. That is what he has been commanded. So if I'm taking these footsteps of this honorable man, I don't see why mine should be different from his. And to speak about this hypothetically, when talking about Christianity, for instance, Christians, when they quote Bible verse, for instance, John chapter 17, verse 3, Jesus is saying that God is the only true God. Yeah. So if you ask them, how many
only
gods?
Oneness of God. Really the focus is the oneness. Yes.
So if you ask them, how many gods did Jesus worship? They will say one. Did Jesus worship Trinity gods?
Right.
The answer is no. He didn't worship God in Trinity. He worshiped one God. So now if Jesus worshiped one God, Why is it that the followers of Jesus will now be worshiping a God they call Trinity? So there is a conflict of interest there. So same concept when we take it back to the Islam, it seems that there's a same issue problem there, because they will tell you Prophet Muhammad only followed the Quran. If you only follow the Quran and it's my role model, why should I be following books that he never
Yeah,
accomplished?
like the after books, we call it, or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah,
After book.
don't follow the after books.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So when
Yeah.
that happens, I find it like a conflict of interest, because then there seems something is wrong or somebody else is not telling us the truth.
But you grew up, right, in your pretty strict Islamic schooling environment. Obviously, your background is in some sort of, like, with your expertise in Arabic and whatnot, translation. So tell me a little bit about how you were formally were you considering yourself Sunni growing up, and then you took a different approach when you got your platform to speak on?
Me growing up, I grew up as from a Muslim family.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't consider, now that I'm enlightened, I wouldn't consider myself as a Muslim at that time, because it was based on ignorance.
Wow.
The definition of a Muslim is actually to be a submitter to God. But back then, we claiming to be Muslims is we are submitting to other people's commands. We are submitting to other people's narratives. You understand? So I grew up from a family claiming to be a Muslim family, but the actual instance of understanding what they are doing is void. Don't actually know what they are practicing, because they are just practicing what the majority do. And according to Quran chapter 6 verse 116, if you obey most of those on earth, they will mislead you from the way of God. So it is not about majority. It is about, are you actually doing what God has instructed? If the answer is yes, then you are a Muslim. You submit to God.
Right.
That is the
And you
definition.
don't, what do you feel like the sort of about the fitna that's being created in these polarities? Like, I see a lot of polarity in the Islamic faith. Like, we have the extreme Wahhabi and the Saudi Arabia models, and then they're getting extremely Salafi or whatnot leaning. And then we have this really pull in this sort of opposite direction. And then there's a balancing that needs to occur. So what do you feel like is the problem where there's fitna versus something that we should be continuing to create, like, controversy around?
It's always about going back to the roots and the source. Whenever there's an issue, go back to the root and the source. The question is, did Islam start with Prophet Muhammad? The answer is no. So why are the Arabs making noise about it?
Let's clarify that, because not a lot of people realize you're referring it to being from Abraham, right? So when people ask how we pray and how we do things, and like you refer to Abrahamic context as the primary source, correct?
So the Quran actually instructs Prophet Muhammad to follow the creed of Abraham. Quran chapter 16 verse 123, he's been instructed, right? He's been inspired to follow the creed of Abraham. And he himself confessed in Quran chapter 6 verse 161 that God has guided him to the straight path. That is the path, the creed of Abraham. He confessed by saying that. Then again, all of us, the believers, were instructed to follow the creed of Abraham. Quran chapter 3 verse 95. So now, if God is giving this instruction, it tells us that Islam is not limited to what people are propagating. It's actually what God speaks about in the Quran. That is what represents Islam is about. So the miscommunication or the misunderstanding is the misinformation being presented out there. Are we going to examine and scrutinize it and go back to the roots and the sources of the information to verify? Is that actually the information? People don't want to be questioned on that. So the moment somebody is stopping you from questioning the sources and foundation, it means they have something to hide. So a lot of people actually think Islam started in the 7th century. And
Well,
that's
or whatnot, 640 when it was.
Thank you. So it gets to a point you hear Christians saying Christianity was there before Islam. No, that's false.
Yeah.
The word Islam is an Arabic word. You see, it means submission. So if you ask the Christians, were the prophets submitting to God even aforetime? The answer is yes, and that is Islam. They were
So what
submitting to
about
God.
the other ways in which viewpoint dismantles the five pillars of Islam, like the requirement for, this is where we get so much of it from the Sunnah, right? Is what are the 5 daily prayers? What do those look like? The doing Umrah, doing Hajj, going to like once in a lifetime, and just to recap all the different pillars. Are you also part of dismantling those as being, because I've even heard, oh, the second part of the Shahada is just La ilaha illallah. People don't even want to say that part is required to be Muslim. Do you have thoughts on how all of that is being deconstructed?
Yeah, the point is Abraham never said anything of that sort to be a Muslim.
Yeah.
So if he never said that and we are asked to follow his creed, why is it a must for me to say that before I become a Muslim? That's the question. And Muhammad himself never said such a thing before he became a Muslim.
Yeah, because he didn't say, and I declare that Muhammad is also
Thank you. So
yeah.
if we are following this honorable man as an example, why must I say things he never uttered? Must I do things he never did? That is the concept here. There is no such thing as 5 pillars of Islam. It is the concoction of the scholars. They concocted that. It's not from God.
And also, particularly being anti-sectarian, right? Because we have gone totally crazy with the amount of categories that we want to put every little different religion in. And can you tell me a little bit about how that work you're doing is really trying to dismantle the way that we created these divisions and these different sects that are leading to all these problems in the first place?
Correctional officer is all about going back to the roots, going back to the source. So what I'm trying to liberate people from is mental slavery, because people have been mentally enslaved to follow a certain pattern. It's like a trend, just like on social media.
Yeah.
People just follow trend without questioning the reason or motives behind it. If you start questioning the motive, you get to understand that we have been bamboozled, meaning sects have been created to give another side of the story which doesn't include to the original story, which is not included. So sectarians, being part of sect is something God has spoken down on. To be part of a sect, God doesn't approve that. Quran chapter 6 verse 159, God says those who divide their religion and become sect, they are not with you. You are not with them in anything. Quran chapter 30 verse 31 to 32, God says do not be of them who have separated their religion and each is proud of what it has, meaning they are mushriks. And when we say mushriks, it means idolaters. They are idol worshippers because they idolize certain entities. That is what is making them to cause the division. Because if God says just stick to this place and it is only God you're worshiping, then you have to listen to the master, and that's God. But when you go to obey other entities, who is in charge now? So that is the sectarian point of view. You understand? They will tell you you cannot be a Muslim without the Hadith books. What? Yeah. Where did God say that? Nowhere. So they think sometimes, from my perspective, when I'm speaking, they think they are smarter than God. It's like they have the choice of words that they think God couldn't say it, so they can say it better than God. If you ask them, where did God ask me to follow Sahih? They will say, Ahi, he didn't say like that, but he doesn't have to say it like that. But
they really try and edify the line of translate, it's like a whole study. It's an academic proficiency to really go in deep to the narrations, the chain of narrations, and the validity of the chain of narrations, and how they hold it so sacred and sanctify it like it's impenetrable. So how do you really get through to that? Because it's, but these lines of narration are so credited. We have so much authority and all that.
So that is where I come in. That's where correctional officer comes in. The point is just to ask them, let's go back to the source. How did it start? On whose authority? Thank you. So where in the academical work, that the works they have in place, where does it say it is based on the authority of the prophet? Nowhere. Nowhere did the prophet assign such an authority for them to do that. Imam Bukhari, he has the most popular hadith books being used in the world. He never met the prophet. He started writing hadith books 199 years after the death of the prophet. So how can he, or how did he get the authority to start writing hadith books when he never met the prophet?
Yeah.
Because he came 2 centuries after the prophet.
2 centuries. So, I know I told my son the other day, this is like 1776, the Declaration of Independence, and you're trying to figure out what Jefferson was doing.
Thank you. Just imagine if something just happened just yesterday, and you're not
and they didn't have the internet.
Yes, they didn't even have internet. So it is mind-boggling why people put blind faith. And their scholars do admit it is blind faith. They admit. This is blind faith. And you can't win a court case with blind faith. It doesn't work.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because what really does make faith versus non-faith? Because it's like asking the question, like I do, #not that kind of Muslim. Where does someone be able to say, oh yeah, that's outside the fold of Islam? You're not Muslim if you believe that. So it's really my faith tells me to do. That's what it comes down to, because that's the thing that we're somewhat guiding, each one of us giving us a different opinion.
Quran chapter 17 verse 36, it says, do not pursue that of which you have no knowledge.
Yeah.
It's part of the wisdom God has given us, and it's embedded in the Quran. So if I'm asked not to pursue what I don't have knowledge about, why will I go following things blindly? So God doesn't condone blind faith, and he's explicitly stipulated it in Quran chapter 42 verse 52. In Quran chapter 42 verse 50, God spoke to the prophet and said, you did not know what the book was, nor the faith. Then God says he has made it the book, he has made it a light by which he guides whomever he wills.
Right.
So if a book is what I'm supposed to read and study in order to get the guidance and the light from, it shows that I'm using my intellect. I'm not being a fool. And God says we should contemplate the Quran. Now, the moment I say something and I tell you to reflect on it or to contemplate it, that means I demand questions. I want you to question me. That's why I say reflect. The moment I say don't reflect about this, just take it, it means I want you to be a fool.
Yeah, you want to cover something. You're being manipulated a little bit.
Thank you. That is the agenda of the sectarians. Don't question.
Right.
Just do what you're told. What?
Yeah.
We are not in the military force to be taking instructions that we cannot question. No, faith is not, that's not how faith works.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you say to someone who's really struggling right now with following the rules? I call it like the checklist, like how many, the counting. Oh, I get this many points for doing this many rakas, and this many points for doing that many. What do you say to someone who's just really struggling with the reward and point system right now? And all the rules?
God actually says we cannot count the blessings of God. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't count it. It's impossible, actually, because the scale you are using is different from the official scale.
The scales are different, right?
Yes, exactly. That's the difference. But in Quran chapter 6, verse 160, he told us that when you do a good deed, you get 10 blessings, 10 rewards. But when you do a bad deed, you get the equivalent of the bad deed. So if it is one bad deed, you get one. So here, it seems God is doing us a favor.
Yeah.
He wants us actually to be
more generous on this side of the scale for giving.
So now take this same psychology in the Western world, where when you go to work on holidays or weekends, you get double salary sometimes. Even in Finland here, that's how it works.
Overtime, whatnot.
So you get overtime or double salary. So every worker wants to do that. Wow, I like this. Let me do extra to get money. So psychologically, God actually wants us to be good doers, righteous people, and then get the reward. But it seems people seem to love the bad side more than the good side, because the bad side looks more fun. Yes.
Yeah, you get more credit for not doing those things too. Like the more you're restrictive and guilt, shame, and you're in this, they want to keep you in that lower vibe state, because I have a saying that the only thing that truly matters is the vibrational frequency of the heart. That's what is actually meant by God has his own measuring and we have ours, but Allah is the best of planners. So his measuring are the best, because they're measuring the frequency of your heart, not all the other stuff.
Yes, exactly. And he is never unjust to the people. It is the people who are rather unjust to themselves. And he mentioned this in Quran chapter 10, verse 44. And he says, indeed, God does not wrong the people at all, but the people are wronging themselves. And he said also in Quran chapter 13, verse 11, he does not change the condition of the people unless the people change what is with them. Yeah. It means everything starts with us before God comes in. You don't just expect God to just come in just like that. You have to make an effort. So that's why he gave us this faculty. And he gave us the brain. He gave us the eyes. He gave us the ears. He gave us the heart, so that we can use it first. Imagine a worker going to a workplace, has been enrolled in a work or employed by the employer, and he has been given the tools to work. And then he's just standing there and he says, boss, please, I need help. Boss, please help me. The boss will be like, what? You're fired. Because you have the tools already.
You have the tools, the faculties to help yourself. You're
deaf.
Well, that's how we get the deaf, dumb, and blind are the ones with the most layers between themselves and God. It's like the most closed off layers of fooling and that fooling and these.
We call it hijab. It's a partition. They are behind the partition. They don't. You understand? So God wants us to reason. Actually, Quran chapter 10, verse 100, God says he places filth on those who do not use their reasoning. Yes. Because he gave you the tools already. Yours is just to question and examine, listen and reason. But people don't want to do that. Then they start questioning you. Who is he? When was he born? Who is he to tell us what to do? What? It's not who is he. It's about what he's saying. Can you verify it?
Yeah.
That's the point.
Tell me about what you say to people who are maybe on a spiritual awakening path right now and their eyes are opening to God. I feel like we have a lot of that going on. I don't know if you feel it too, that it's so many more eyes are opening and systems of oppression are being challenged and disrupted, and we're here to create those forces. But what do you say to someone who is on a spiritual awakening journey, but maybe they're not Muslim, they are not yet, or they're not sure, but there's a calling in their heart, right? We all seem to have that growing a little bit stronger every day.
Yes, I always tell people they have to know themselves first. In order to find the truth, wherever you may be, you need to know yourself before you can find the truth. If you don't know yourself, you can never identify the truth. You see the point? So first of all, we put it to ourselves that, am I able to identify myself? Do I know myself? So if I know myself, yes, then it means I can know the truth. If I don't know myself, I don't know the truth. So God is the truth. Now, in order to know God, I need to know myself first. I need to know my objective. So I give an example. There's a mobile phone. If I don't know what the phone is, I cannot know if it is meant for phone calls. But when I know what this mobile phone is, then I can know, oh, mobile phone is used for phone calls.
Yeah.
So the objective of understanding who we are is the number one point of you arriving to the truth. So sometimes people feel that they are awake, they are woke, but they are still lost.
There's even hashtag woke movements for that.
Thank you. They are pretending to be woke, but then they are lost. So there's a saying which says that if you don't know where you are coming from, you cannot know where you're going. You need to know where you come from, then you know where you're going. Because if I'm coming from, for instance, I'm coming from Finland and I'm trying to go to, let's say, UK, and then you meet me and I said, excuse me, can you show me the direction to UK? The first question the person might ask me is, where are you coming from? I'll say, oh, I'm coming from Finland. Then it's okay, you can go to the right side. That's the direction go. Because he knows where you're coming from and where your goal has to be. So same in life, we need people. Just now that I'm speaking to you, somebody might chance up on this video and they was like, wow, this is what I was looking for. So it doesn't just take one to make a difference. It takes teamwork to make a difference.
Teamwork make the dream work.
Yes. Because imagine if I'm the only one standing on top of a hole and I have 10 people in the hole and I'm trying to use my power to pull 10 people out, they'll pull me down.
Yeah. That's how we're going to get drowned.
Thank you. Yeah. So what I need to do is I need to find a way to pull one person first.
Yeah. And then he can help.
Yes. So when the one person comes with me, then we can actually stretch out to take the third person. Then gradually, it's a slow process picking up. But the point is, if I don't identify myself as a helper, how can I help another person? So that is why in the Western world, somebody can be dying and people will just be staring. They don't come closer to help. They are like, that's none of my business. So this is some of the things that people are actually missing or don't understand concerning this aspect. Yes.
And did you yourself, it sounds like you have had to go through your own sort of dark, I don't know, maybe think of a dark night of the soul experience, or where we reject this religion construct altogether, and then you come back that's maybe more in alignment or reclaiming some of that spiritual connection. Have you also gone through sort of those types of challenges where you had to decide what you're going to believe and why, and how it's going to fit into your own alignment with what you think God really wants us here for?
The objective is we are here to serve God, but serving God is just like when you are employed in a company. The objective is to serve the boss. That's why you are there, right?
To serve the boss, yeah.
Yes, but there has to be a motivation.
Right.
Because if you're there to serve the boss, you might just leave the work all of a sudden because you're like, what's my benefit in this? So it is a two-way thing. It's a vice versa thing. You do what God requires of you and he compensates you. He gives you your reward for it.
Or isn't that where people say God is the God that you make him to be, or you think of him as, or her, whatever, however?
God's not an illusion. No, he's not an illusion. Can there be a company without a boss? Can somebody be employed without a boss?
No,
Are you getting my point? Yes. So if
yeah,
you're
you need
working,
the
the
you need
moment,
the head of the snake.
yes, yes, that's why I say we need to know ourselves. The question is, Sister Edina, did you choose to be a woman? Are you the one who chose to be who you are now?
No, I didn't.
Thank you. So it means there's somebody or someone in charge of that, and
Yeah,
that's not you. So
right.
now you need to identify yourself first. Why do I identify as a woman? Who chose me to be a woman? Okay, why am I not black? Why am I light skinned?
Right.
Question this thing, then when you start to understand yourself, it's on your journey to know, understand God. Okay, I
Yeah.
found myself working in FedEx or UPS all of a sudden, and I'm wearing UPS uniform, and I'm told to go and deliver goods. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute. I'm going to deliver goods to who? Okay, let me check. Oh, they said, oh, Shuaib, Baba Shuaib, you need to deliver it to this address. Okay, now I'm understanding the objective now. Because then, number one, I know UPS actually employed me.
Yeah, you get
And
on the
two,
same page. Yeah.
thank you. Do you see the point? So
Yeah.
by understanding this, then you get to know who you are and what you are about.
Yeah.
Because that's where how we can understand God. Because without that, there's no way you can understand God anymore. Because then you just be wobbling and then going left and right, and you're confused and you don't have any direction or
Yeah.
goal or purpose. So we are here to serve God, but in the aspect of worship, because I need to put God first above everything or anything.
Right.
Because if I put my family first, God can take my family away, and I don't have a family. If I put my job or my money first, God can take it away. If
Yeah.
I put my kids or I put my wife or I put my husband or I put or what, he can take everything away
And
from me.
that's why it's like forms of idolatry. It's not like you're worshiping a little statue, but your service to your money or your these layers between you and God are the what we call like the mushrik or the shirk,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
yes. God hates that concept
Right.
because imagine you being employed in a company and you are being employed from, let's say, 5 hours to work. And
Yeah.
within the 5 hours, your boss will just find you texting on your phone. Then the boss will be like, excuse me, Baba Shuaib, is that what I employed you to do? You understand? So it
Yeah.
means out of his time and schedule that he has given you, the rules and regulations, you have now
You're using it wastefully or frivolously,
exactly,
or
you are
even
using
things
it.
like, yeah, committing idle talk or idle usage of
Yes,
your time as being, yeah,
thank you.
problems. Yeah.
So this is how we need to understand ourselves, then understand God. You don't
Right.
understand yourself, you can never know God. So when you understand you yourself, you know why you are here and who put you here. What is your objective? Are you meeting that objective? Have you found that objective? Why are you being distracted from the objective? Okay, my purpose. Why am I here? The moment you don't understand yourself, you can never know God.
Mm.
So when you get to know God, then you know, okay, God told me to do this, to do that. Can I meet that requirement? Let me try my best. And that is why even in the workplace, we have people who are above others.
Yeah. It's like
Yes.
integrity becomes important in ways where it's the small things, little things every day are more about what are important with our integrity rather than just doing things for show or image or appearing to be a certain religion or whatever, certain way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
with God, the most important aspect of our life is to understand why God wants us to do something. There's no way God will tell you to do something which is stupid or meaningless. There's nothing God says which is meaningless, unless if you don't have that level of understanding. Everything He asks you to do or not to do is for your own good. It doesn't harm Him the
But how do
least.
you know what he's always asking people? That's like an intuitive skill that a lot of people aren't tapped into, is to really have a knowing of what it is they think that God is telling them to do or not do. That's where I think the
Okay,
confusion is.
we have all, if you go to Quran chapter 91, verse
Yeah.
7 to verse 10, God talks about the soul and He organized the soul
Yeah.
and inspired the soul with its immorality and its piousness. You understand? So now the soul already knows the good and bad. Just like our kids. When we have our kids, sometimes you leave them alone. When they are doing something bad, the moment you step out, they hide. Then they put the hand behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now you
Guilty.
are in your head, you are, how did he know or did she know this is bad or good? How? Okay, we give birth to kids and then all of a sudden they know how to suckle from the breast. Who taught them that? How do they know that this is how I need to use my mouth?
Yeah.
Who taught them how to crawl? How did they know that this is how I have to crawl? You get the point. So
Yeah. Yeah.
God has already shown the human being these things But with time, we start to discover those things, and things become reality in front of us. And then there are things that happen and we think is just a deja vu. You understand?
Yeah.
Then some
It's like
things
we think,
happen.
yeah,
Yes. Some things happen and you're like, no, this thing has happened somewhere before. I feel
right.
like, you understand? You have already been given that vision, but you just didn't pay attention to it. So it's happening again in front of you. So it feels like it's happened twice. And then your soul is connected to God. He created you. And remember, when he created the human being, he
Yeah.
blew his spirit.
Lewis. Yeah, it's like a fractal of soul. Ruh.
Yes. So that spirit is a connection, just like we have
Mhm.
electricity circuits and connected.
Yeah, yeah.
So he blew the spirit. So he's with you wherever you are. That's what he
And
said.
so we're also all interconnected in that way. Yeah, would you say? Yes.
Yes, that's why we come from God and we will go back to God.
Right.
You're connected. So the idea is you are here to do the objective that he has actually assigned you to do.
Yeah. Like we're on a mission. If you're an agent of God or you feel in alignment as being an agent of God or walking in the path. And everyone has their own interpretations of how that looks. And obviously, as a Muslim, doing the work you're doing with getting people to Quran only, really feeling like and knowing that that's the source or that's what brings us light in the world. It's the most important thing we can focus on. I love that work that you're doing, Baba Shuaib.
Yeah.
And also, I just wanted to just mention, because I know you get controversial sometimes. Tell me just in a little bit about the mission work you're doing and why you're doing it, because we were just talking about what our soul path is. So what is your really great mission with the debates and inspiring the thousands of people that you talk to or that see your messaging? Like, where do you really want to go with this and where is it taking you?
The idea is I'm not here to get people to follow me. The idea is I'm here to inspire people.
Yeah.
So inspire people means to make a difference. And the difference I'm doing is on social media, controversy sells more.
Apparently that's the case, right? There's a few topics that sell. That's one
Yeah,
of
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Controversy sells. Of course, I'm not in for business, but I'm in for attention in such a way that people will want to raise their curiosity. They were like,
Yeah.
why did he say this? Why did he do that? You
Or why
understand?
does he think he knows what he's talking about?
Exactly. I want to raise the curiosity in people.
Yeah.
And when the curiosity arouses, it means out of 10 people, we will have 6 people who are willing to understand why. They want to know what is the reason.
Yeah.
Why? So this is why sometimes when I wear a white shirt, somebody once asked, Baba Shuaib, why did you choose to wear white? Why not black? There's no doubt I have a reason.
Yeah. Oh, you have a reason for everything. Meticulous.
Thank you. God already said, do not pursue that of which you don't know. So anything I have to pursue, must have the reason behind it.
It's all a symbol of some kind, little symbolism.
Yes, there is a reason behind everything.
Yeah.
The movies we watch, the music we listen to, anything that you see, the symbolism, everything, they have a meaning behind it. It depends on how curious people are. Then they get to know the answers. So my understanding of how social media works, controversy has to be in between, but I'm not putting controversy to deceive people. I'm putting controversy to raise the curiosity of people, and they are willing to know, because I'm ready to give the answers. I'm not scared of being questioned. So when the curiosity arouses and people ask, why did you do this? I have the answer.
So what are the hardest questions that you get that are really, do you get any hard questions that you feel like you don't always have the answers to?
To be honest, I'm yet to meet a question I wasn't able to answer.
You have yet to?
No, to be honest, I'm a human being, though. I'm not saying I know it all.
Yeah.
But because I was well prepared before I stepped foot out there.
Yeah. You did your job first.
I don't take this for granted, or I don't take it as a joke. I'm well prepared. But sometimes when people ask me questions in the comment section and I ignore them, they think I'm scared. I'm not scared. The point is,
you say they're running off. No.
Thank you. The point is, what is the idea of me creating a video content? I made a video to state a point. The issue is, can we talk about the point I'm talking about instead of asking me a point which has nothing to do with the video? Are you getting me? So when I
keep it out of left field. That's too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So it's just academically in a classroom. Imagine a teacher teaching you mathematics and you are asking the teacher about science.
Yeah.
The teacher will be like, excuse me, we are talking about mathematics here. Can we finish that? So for me, when I come hand on with any opposition and he's asking me a question, I go full out. I give my 100%. I don't just sit down and say, you know what? I don't know. No, I'm prepared for it.
Yeah. It's
Yes.
good. You give some of the best answers. I really appreciate all the work you're doing, Baba Shuaib. So for anyone who might see this, where's the best place to find you? Because I know you're putting out content on YouTube and on TikTok, and where's the best place and you have your website as well, and all of that. So what's the best?
Yes. The best actually find me. My most popular platforms is Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok.
Okay.
But you can find me on all platforms, even Instagram. I'm on X, Twitter. I'm there. I'm on all the platforms, Pinterest, every platform I'm there. But where the major platforms I'm focused on is Facebook, TikTok, and then YouTube. And I'm using the name The Correctional Officer, or you can find me with the name Bush 2G9.
Okay, yeah, Bush 2G9. I'll have it pinned here at the bottom. So
exactly, Bush 2G9. And I have a website with the Great Quran. As I did a Quran translation, full Quran translation. I have a website which is free, accessible. It's called thegreatquran.com with a K, thegreatquran.com. And people can go and access the Quran there. But the hard copy is also available, which people are. I was planning to get it on Amazon. So it will be on Amazon also, where people can access it directly. But it's already on Google. Yeah, on Google Play, books. It can be found there. And for me, the most popular platform that I have in my all channels is TikTok. The reason is the TikTok is more based on the short content videos. People can have the time to actually listen to the controversy and watch. So then out of that, out of 10 people, I will have 4 people who are willing to understand why I said something. And guess what? The moment I explain myself, they are like, "Oh, God bless you, bro. I've been looking for this answer."
Oh, like the light clicks, right? That's what it is. Light bulb moment.
So that is what I do. And that's how I got to your platform today. And it's a blessing, right?
Yeah. I love that. And I love TikTok for every way that it has created environments for people to be going live and having conversations. So it's really important that so many of us have been doing that and meeting that way and running into the ideologies and the people who are already thinking these things and putting the work together. So yeah, I love all the work that you've done and I'm a big fan of yours. I'm so glad we got to have this little episode. Yeah, it was really great. Baba Shuaib, correctional officer. So good to have you. And I hope we get to do it again in the future.
Sure. God willing, inshallah. I'm all open. So far as I have the time, because I was thinking to put this program to next week, but I checked my schedule. I'm like, oh no, I can fit in today. I can be available. So why not? The earlier my dad gave me advice. He says the earlier the better.
Earlier
the better, and we are here. So I appreciate the opportunity.
And any other final thoughts or things that you want to leave listeners with before we wrap up?
Yes, sometimes people will ask me, why is it that you're not dressed like the mainstream?
Oh, Muslims, like the dress,
The idea is I want every person out there to think that Islam is not about how you wear the jilbab, and that's not what Islam is about. Islam is about, are you willing to take up what God is saying? And your dressing, does it go against the rules of God? If it doesn't, then keep your dressing.
Yeah.
It's only when it goes against what God is saying, fine, then you can decide to change. And so the concept of me appearing the way I am is to appear unique. I don't want to be in a line where I'm copying somebody. I have to be on my own lane. And as a matter of fact, it's working. People actually appreciate the way I present myself and the way I put myself out there. So that is for me, it's like another part of branding, but I'm not here to commercialize myself. But the idea is to look presentable. And apart from that, I want people to understand that even though sometimes I cause controversy, but the idea is not to be a controversial person.
Right.
The idea is to get people to learn. So I'm not here to just cause controversy and run away. No. And also my choice of words. Sometimes I use harsh words and people think I'm being mean or insulting. No, I'm not. Because when somebody goes to steal regularly, it's called a thief. When somebody defrauds people, it's called a fraudster. When somebody rapes, we call him a rapist. When somebody kills, we call him a murderer. So when I call people mushriks, I'm not insulting. It's because they are doing the act of shirk. So I have the license to call them mushriks. So I actually intentionally call that so that when they ask me a question, I'm willing to explain. But some people just become emotional. And then they stay away. They're like, he's calling us mushriks. I hate him. Why? Why don't you ask him? Why don't you ask me why I said that?
No,
You know,
I think it has to do what we were saying where you're instigating controversy for accelerating and advancing rather than for meaningless like name calling or just like you said hurtful and then run away. When something is the purpose of dismantling the institutions that are creating a problem, then you're doing it in its highest good to in service of God in that way. That's like I was listening to a meditation the other day. It's like the dark chosen ones that are here to, it's a lonely path, it's isolating, it's difficult, but you still are just triggering everything around you so it can be
yes,
deconstructed and rebuilt back in a better way.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. That explains it in a better way. I like that explanation.
I get it.
I
I
like
know. I get it. I get it. That's the
that.
work we do. That's the work you're doing.
Yes,
Correctional officer for anyone who wants to find Baba Shuaib. Thank you so much. And I
this
hope we
is
get to
Edina.
talk again. Thank you.
It's a pleasure being on the platform. I appreciate the honor. Thank you. God
Thank you
bless
so
you.
much.
And
All
we
right.
meet again,
Yeah, we'll
inshallah.
meet
Peace.
again soon. Have a good day.